everybody, my name is Tyler Hayden. I'm from teammover.com and I've got another classic adventure that you can do with your team. It's a fantastic experiential activity called Frogpond. It's actually an activity that my professor in university, because well, I went to university to learn how to play games and how to build teams and design leadership strategies for organizations. And my professor did this activity with us one day. She took us out behind our classroom, took us out into a field, and she played this game called Frogpond. And I'll never forget it to this day because it was just such a good activity. It's easy to set up, it's simple to do, it's fun, it's different. People don't necessarily do this all that often, so I'm going to share with you how to do it. It has all the makeups for a great experiential-based learning event. So here we are. This is what it looks like. This is the Frogpond. So it's about 15 meters long and about 5 meters wide. It looks more like a square in the drawing, but I ran out of whiteboard space. So here's how it works. Basically, you build yourself a pond, so you're going to need to put up rope, or you can tape it if you're inside. You can tape it off with masking tape. And if you're doing it indoors, like in a gymnasium or in your front foyer of your office, that's totally cool. It's about 15 by 5, as I said. And what you're going to do is you're going to break your team in half. So you've got half the team are going to be your little rascals or your mean kids, and they're on either side of the frog pond. They're allowed to move up and down the sides of the frog pond, but they can't go around the ends. We like them just on the sides. So that's them. They've got in their hands, you'll notice they have green balls in their hands, and those represent stuffed toys. So stuffed toys, soft toys, stuff that doesn't have like hard eyes on them and that kind of stuff. So soft toys. It could be bean bags too if you have bean bags. They work really well. So that's what they have. And each person gets about 2 each. And those represent rocks or stones. Then over here we've got our frogs, and our frogs are the other half of the group, and they start on one end and they go to the other. So this could represent your project or an initiative that you're doing with your team. And so your team starts at one end, everybody starts at one end the first times they get together, and we're all working towards this goal, this achievement over here. Along the way there are some challenges, there are some naysayers, there are some people who don't want you to necessarily be as successful as you might want to be. It could be your competition. It could just be competing forces in life. It could be competing divisions. Maybe you have you share one of your FTEs you share with another part of your organization. So that's what's going to happen is the frogs have to hop across this pond over here successfully to this side. So what you do is you give them lily pads. Those are those little green squares that they're holding onto, the frogs are holding onto, and you're going to give enough lily pads, which I often use those plastic placemats. You can buy them at any type of Dollar Tree, dollar store, Dollarama, place where you can buy things really cheap. They can even be pieces of 8.5 by 11 paper. That'll work too. They'll rip a little easier, but they'll work in a pinch. And what's going to happen is you're going to give one to every frog except for one of your frogs. And really increasing the challenge, don't give it to 2 of your frogs. And what's going to happen is the frogs hop on the lily pads. The lily pads are their safe zones. So they're not allowed to be hit by the mean kids or the dirty little rascals if they're standing on the lily pad. So they will progressively they'll hop onto one of the lily pads, and then they need to figure out how to continue to hop across. As a collective unit, all the frogs must move together all the way across to the end. So they can only use the lily pads they have, and they have to hop and hop and hop and hop and hop and pass the lily pads up so that they can progressively hop across this 15-meter space. So that's how that works. Now what happens is the mean kids, the dirty little rascals, they're going to try to hit those frogs from the waist down. That's in an underhanded throw. They're going to try to hit the frogs with their rocks. Now if they are successful at hitting one of the frogs that is not standing on the lily pad, they are allowed, the whole set of frogs have to go back to the beginning and start over. So this is a great event to talk about leadership, challenges, challenges, planning, group dynamics, all that kind of stuff. So it's rich with opportunities for learning. So that's what's going to happen, and you can switch it up once the frogs have gone through. You can switch up and let the dirty little mean kids, they can be frogs, and the frogs can then become dirty little mean kids, so everybody gets a chance to be both roles. At the end of the day, the goal is to get all the frogs over to this side using just the lily pads that they have. If the dirty little mean boys, if their rocks fall into the water and they can't reach the rock, they can't actually go inside the pond. I forgot to mention that. They're not allowed to do that. So if their stuffed toy stays in there, then it's over. So yeah, it's a great activity. Frogpond is tons of fun. I'm so glad my prof showed it to me in university. I've loved using it over the last couple decades to help to build and to grow teams. And as we all know, whoever has the most fun, whatever team is having the most fun, is the one that wins. So I hope you decide to take your team outside the box, try something new, try a little Frogpond. It's a great classic initiative that you can do with your team. Folks, remember to play safe, have fun, and we'll look forward to talking to you again sometime real soon. Bye for now. Everybody, my name is Tyler Hayden. Thanks a lot for joining me today. I'm from teammover.com, your online source for taking your team outside of the box. Listen, I've got a fantastic event that I want to share with you today. It's a great experiential learning activity called Nuclear Reactor. We're using it here today to teach about the idea of situational leadership. So how situations change within your organization or within your project, and how a leader needs to adapt, and how a team creates some of that adaptation and necessity for adaptation, and how they need to adapt as well as the situations change. So without further ado, I'm going to share with you a little bit about how to run the activity. And of course, we're going to go to the whiteboard in order to do that. We've got the nuclear reactor here, and basically what it is it's 2 cups. So styrofoam cups, coffee cups from your local coffee store. It could be those retro, what were they called back in the day? Tupperware cups. I used to love those. Tupperware cups. Cups that kind of stack inside of each other, and a tennis ball that goes inside of the 2 cups. So that's what your nuclear reactor looks like. We also have a nuclear safety device, which is made up of 2 rubber bands. So that's the circle there in the center of the green diagram. So those rubber bands are then held on together with kite string or jute or butcher's twine. You tie some spokes, kind of like spokes off a wheel, and those are where your team are able to hold on to. They're only able to hold on to the ends of the tool in order to make it work. So what happens is, as they pull, the elastic band opens up and closes, and they're able to pick up and move these cups. So the way I set it up is we walk into the room, we usually denote who the leader of the team is. That's going to be important. They're not allowed to actually do any of the work with the tool. They're allowed to guide and direct and help the team. So we walk into the room, and this is the nuclear reactor is set up like this. And to add a little bit of stress and excitement to it, spin a little yarn about being in a nuclear power plant, etc., etc. Explain that this is a nuclear reactor, and then as you go through, spill it, trip over it, whatever you need to do. As it spills over the floor, you tell them that they have X number of minutes in order to put it back together. Give them a little bit of time constraint. So then they use their tool to put it back together, and then you can begin to adjust the experience. So if you want to talk about situational leadership, giving them a little more time time to solve it, maybe a little more, and then see how that adjusts how the leadership style works, how the team functioning works, the collaborativeness of the team works. You can begin to adjust the experience that way. You can give them less time, which makes them speed up in order to achieve the objectives of the event. So fantastic event, Nuclear Reactor, very simple, very cost effective. It's stuff that you probably have sitting around the house right now that you can use with your team. And like all events, go ahead and try it a couple times first with other groups before you bring it out with your big group. Practice leading it, whether it be by yourself, just go over it, practice in front of the mirror like we used to practice our speeches in high school. Listen, you'll absolutely love this event. Your team will as well. It's an absolute winner. I thank you very much for your time. Listen, remember, those who have the most fun are the teams that are winning. Thanks a lot. I'm Tyler Hayden. Come join us at Team Mover. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.